Combining shapes using the Pathfinder panel is very cool and it's very powerful, but it could be a little tricky. Fortunately, there's what I think a more intuitive way and certainly much more visual way of combining shapes, and that's using the Shape Builder tool. And that's what I want to show you in this lesson. You can see here on the screen I just have a plain blank artboard, and whichever color mode you want to use is fine. And we're going to draw a few shapes and we'll combine them. But before we do that, let's just get a background on the page just so we can see what's happening below our shapes. So I'm just going to go over here and get the plain old rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a big old rectangle on the page, kind of like that. And I want to give that just maybe a gray fill. So I'll click this button over here and give it maybe a medium gray. All right, that's good. And I want to lock it. And there's a couple ways you can press Command 2 or Control 2 in Windows, or go up to the Object menu, choose Lock, and Lock Selection. Whatever floats your boat. So now when I get the selection tool back, I can't select it. So it's just good for a background. Now let's draw some shapes. I'll go back to the rectangle tool. This time I'll click and hold it, and I'll get the polygon tool. Now you don't have to use a polygon tool. You could use one of these other shapes if you want. You can draw one, as long as you're going to create a filled path. That's really what I'm after. And if I draw this with this same gray fill, I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go over here and maybe I'll give this a yellow fill, and I'll give it, let's say, a dark blue stroke. And now I'll draw. And you may remember from earlier in the course that when you draw with the polygon tool, it's always from the center point out, always in proportion. But I'm going to hold the Shift key down just to keep it straight. Okay, I'll grab the selection tool, kind of move it down here onto the page. And I want to create another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Option key, or you can hold down the Alt key in Windows, and I'm going to drag to the right so I can make a duplicate. Now maybe if you had a little too much coffee or something, your hand is jiggling on there, you can hold the Shift key down to make sure that you're dragging straight. That way if you move the mouse up or down, you won't move the shape up or down. Okay, that's good. And let's give this a different fill and a different stroke. So maybe I'll give it, let's say, a green fill, and I'll go over here and I'll give it, let's say, an orange stroke. And I want this to be a little thicker, so let's do maybe 8 points, something like that. All right, and I want to zoom in on here just to get a better look. So you can zoom in whichever way you want. I'm going to press Command plus a couple of times and then scroll. If you're in Windows, Control plus will work, or whichever zooming method you want to use is just ducky. So one more thing we have to do before using the Shape Builder tool, and that is we have to select the objects, because the Shape Builder tool is only going to work on objects that are selected. I still have the selection tool active up here, so I can click on one object and then shift click on the other, or I can just do a quick marquee selection like that, so they're both selected. That's good. And now let's get the Shape Builder tool. That's over here. And when you do that, you notice your mouse pointer is this kind of little triangular arrow with a little plus sign on it. And you might wonder, okay, well, plus sign, I guess that means I'm going to combine shapes. Might there be a minus sign on there? Yes, there will. And I'll show you that in a little while. So just move your mouse pointer on part of the shape, and you see you get this kind of cross-stitch pattern. So you know that the Shape Builder tool is looking at it. Maybe move into the overlapping area or the green area, so you know what the Shape Builder tool is looking at. I'm going to click and drag from over here, kind of down or across over here, and you see the Shape Builder tool is indicating which sections are going to be combined, and when I release the mouse button, now I see it's combined. Let me just deselect over here. It's taken the color from the other shape over here on the right, but it retains its original stroke. Let's undo. I'll press Command Z or Control Z in Windows and get the Shape Builder tool back. And now this time let's just drag straight across, and now you see it combines the whole thing, and again we get the green color. And the reason it's green is it's not random. It's looking at the shape on the right, which was on top. So that's what controls the fill color, is which object is on top. And again, I'll undo, Command Z or Control Z in Windows. This time I'll drag from the opposite direction. I'll start over here and I'll drag in here, and it looks like nothing happens. But now I'll click here on the overlapping area, and okay, it still looks like nothing happens, but let me go up here. I'm going to get the selection tool, come back, I'm just going to deselect everything. And Now I can move that yellow piece away. I can move it out. And you see what happened is the green shape acted like a cookie cutter and trimmed the yellow shape. So that's pretty neat. All right, I want to show you something a little different with this overlapping area. So first, let's undo a few times until we get our original shapes back and we have again the red stroke on the green hexagon. Let's take a look at the overlapping area, and this time I'm just going to click. I'm not going to drag anything. So I want to make sure that both of these objects are selected, so I'll just start with my mouse pointer here, and with the selection tool do a little marquee selection so they're both selected. Now let's go and get the shape builder tool, and now when I roll the mouse pointer on the overlapping area, you see it's just that overlapping area that's highlighted, and there's still that little plus sign attached to the mouse pointer. I'm going to hold down the Option key or the Alt key in Windows, and you see now there's a little minus sign. I'm not going to drag anywhere. I'm just going to click, single click, and now you see we've removed that overlapping shape. That's why I wanted to have this gray background, just so we know exactly what's happening. What if we want to combine more than two shapes? I'm just going to undo, again, Command Z, Control Z in Windows, and I'll just get the selection tool here and click on the background, make sure everything is deselected. And let's go back over here. I'll click and hold on the polygon tool. Maybe this time I'll just get the ellipse tool. And let's see, instead of a yellow, before I even start drawing, I'm going to go over here and let's get maybe blue or cyan fill, and let's put on a stroke of, let's say, a medium brown, just so we can see what's going on. And I'll put my mouse pointer, let's say, right on this point over here. You can see a little green anchor tooltip is showing up. And I'm going to hold down the Option key or the Alt key in Windows, and I'm going to also hold down the Shift key so that I'm drawing a circle and not an egg shape. And I think that's good. I'll get the selection tool, and I want to duplicate it. I'll duplicate it the way I duplicated the hexagon earlier. I'll hold down the Option key or the Alt key in Windows and the Shift key, and I'll just drag across like that. So I have another one, and I'll do this one more time, and I'll drag across to about that point right over there, and I'll just click to deselect. So now I have these additional shapes. And just like we did before, if we want to combine these shapes, we have to make sure they're selected. So I'll just put my mouse pointer down here and draw a marquee up so they're all selected. Now let's go and get the shape builder tool. Now, if I want to combine, let's say, these two shapes here, or at least this part of the yellow and this part of the cyan circle, I can simply drag like that, and we have them combined. Okay, but that's not really what I'm after, so I'll just undo. And if you want to try this a few times, you'll notice that as you're combining these shapes, when you drag the shape builder tool, it's always in a straight line. Now, Illustrator is always going to show you which parts are being combined, but it's always in a straight line. Undo. What if you want to combine all of the shapes? What you do is put your mouse pointer, I'll just put my mouse pointer up here, start dragging. Now I've got that straight line, but hold down the Shift key. As long as you're holding down the Shift key while you're dragging the shape builder tool, you'll get a marquee. This will enable you to select all the parts of all of the shapes, whether or not they're in a straight line or not, and then let go. And always let go of the mouse before letting go of the key. And now you have all of these shapes all combined into one. Unlike the shape modes of the Pathfinder panel, this is real. This is not formatting. And you know that if, number one, if you just drag your mouse pointer over the combined object with the shape builder tool. But let's go into outline view. So you can go up to the view menu and choose outline. I'll press Command Y or Control Y in Windows, and now you can see there are no lines in the middle. So we know that this is completely combined. This is one shape as though you just drew it yourself with a pen tool. If you want, you can get the pen tool or get the direct selection tool and modify this shape further. So you can see that the shape builder tool is a very visual way of getting multiple shapes to interact with each other.